What SwimSol does is technologically unprecedented. You have a small Austrian hardware startup, and we're creating a product for tropical marine conditions.
A couple of years ago, we were dreaming of having the chance of building a project like this, just to prove to the people that it is possible what Martin was dreaming about 10, 15, 20 years ago. This is definitely a game changer.
It's really quite impressive, like just how big it is. It's one, next one, the next one, the next one.
I'm very impressed actually, and I think it's worth it. The Maldives does not have an electrical grid. It consists of islands that are very far apart. So connecting them with submarine cables would be very expensive. Installing, for example, a gas-fired power plant, a coal-fired power plant, or let alone a nuclear power plant, they would be completely oversized for one island. And then again, the connection to other islands is too expensive. Therefore, each island has its own power generation. And the thing that makes sense with such small units is diesel generators. Those diesel generators operate 24/7 all the time, 365 days a year. In the process, the Maldives as a country in 2022 burned 600 million liters of diesel and spent $880 million for this.
Electric is so expensive in Maldives, especially for the local liners. We are dependent now for the electric. Without electric, we can't survive. So
the best for Maldives is solar, because we always have sun. We might not have strongest winds that is needed for the wind turbines, but we always have sun.
People are used to solar systems on roofs, solar systems ground mounted, but since these islands on the Maldives are so tiny, you don't have space. We cannot produce not even a quarter of the energy they need. Since they realized, okay, solar is actually working, now we prove them that it's also working on the water. It's not only on the roofs where space is limited, it's also working on the water, and now the space is limitless.
SolarSea is a very unique system. It is specially designed to be able to withstand the rough conditions we find in the oceans, what you don't really have in lakes, like for example, the winds, high waves, the strong tides and currents.
One is 14 meters by 14 meters. It's around 3 meters high. So what you see here is just the upper half, and the lower half is submerged underneath the waterline. The reason we do it that way is that the waves will just pass over, so you have very little resistance to the waves. And this is why you can afford to put them in a potentially very wavy environment, such as Maldives. We tried a lot of things, and this is the kind that we can safely say will work anywhere in the world. That's actually a part I really like about it. Like when you sit on the platform, it makes a very soothing sound. And that's a big contrast to the diesel generators, I would say. First time I came here was in 2009, so 15 years ago. It was very obvious that this is like the dream country for solar. You have energy prices that are so high that with solar power you can undercut them without any subsidies or anything. Solar is just cheaper than the conventional power source here. After returning home, I was actually practicing the violin when an image popped up in my head. Cube floating on the sea with a solar panel on it. I just said to myself, why isn't anybody doing that? It looks like the thing to do, like there's enough space, sounds easy enough. Of course, we found out why not, because it's not so easy. There were a number of challenges. One was finance, that's where it begins. If you don't have money, you can't hire people, you can't fly to Maldives to talk to people, to talk to customers. You don't have a brand, you don't have a big name, so it's hard to attract people, to interest the right people, and then motivate them to actually work with you if all you can offer is basically a vision.
Hier das Entwicklungs- und Testteam.
As Martin presented the whole concept, it sounded a little bit crazy or challenging, let's say. I was maybe not completely believing in the whole project, that it will become reality.
First trials we did with small models in wave basins. That was already a success. So we could see it working, we improved the design, and every time you see an improvement, it's a success that motivates you to go further. Then it was a professional wave channel with bigger models. Then it was a first prototype, like a first real-sized platform in Lake Balaton. Then you had setbacks, so we lost some panels there. But we figured out how to change that, and then it was good again. Since we started from zero, it means every step you make is a success and can be celebrated.
You have to think about it. Landlocked country is coming to you with a product that they've just developed for rough seas, and they want to install it in an incredibly expensive hotel resort. You have to think that our first client was maybe a little bit crazy for actually trusting in us. I'm glad they did.
Still, it took, I think, 6 years for us to get the first proper contract with a Maldivian hotel resort. Basically to sell solar systems, to convince people that solar energy is commercially and technically feasible.
The 2,400 kilowatt peaks is a huge and very expensive project. It became apparent fairly early on that this was not going to be like any of our previous floating solar projects. This was going to involve types of equipment and civil works that we had never done before.
It's not easy to make it. Maybe somebody says it's cables and solar panels, but it's difficult because of the environment where we are and sources which we have.
Things coming up that you cannot plan. You cannot predict the weather in the Maldives, you cannot predict the sea, not the wind. There are so many logistic and organizational things that you have to have in mind, and you always have to have a plan B and a plan C. Then you're still not safe.
Throughout the past 2-3 years that we've been working on this, I think everybody can tell you that it's been the high of highs and the lows of lows. And I really think it was that team spirit which got us through some of the difficult times in this project.
It's a bit like playing football. So it's a game, you like to win, but mostly you like to play. I think this is what has made it possible that we built a successful company with no huge funding or anything, basically from scratch.
When you're working with champions, then you'll be a champion too, yeah?
If you want to do things like this and projects like this, you don't need to have extraordinary people, but what you need is a amazing team spirit. You need a team that works like a family, and that takes a lot of time.
I'm very proud to be a part of this project. Helping people change the way they see how we can generate power in Maldives.
Every single island should have one of these installations and be self-sufficient and not have to rely on diesel. And that's possible. It will take some time, of course. We will still have to learn a lot, but it's technically possible, it's commercially possible, because the solar power produced by this system is cheaper than power produced by diesel.
The solar is worth it for Maldives, and it works for Maldives. Definitely, solar will be work for Maldives.
I personally believe that the biggest force in the world is habit. So if you come and tell them, hey, do something differently, it's a nuisance. You need to first understand whether it's really good for them, and then you need to convince people that it's actually functioning, that it's a good thing to do, that it works, one by one. And after you've convinced enough people, then it becomes the standard.
If anybody's thinking about whether solar energy makes sense, I would say absolutely. There's really nothing to lose. If you're not interested in sustainable energy, fine, but just from a cost efficiency standpoint, just from that standpoint, it makes sense.
As the world changes and the climate change, I think people need to understand that it is not a good option, even though it has been reliable for so many years. But solar is the option that we can change to, and it is more sustainable, and it is a better way to get energy.
It's not only about Maldives, this is, for me, is like testing area. And when the product will be work, the whole world is open for us. And we can go everywhere. Singapore, yeah, Myanmar, we can go to Europe. Everybody needs energy, everybody.
I don't know what's the next thing is going to be, but so far we've overcome all those obstacles. You just have to keep going. You just have to do it one step after the other. Yes, have a grand vision, but then execute in small steps.